Hello, authors, book lovers, and storytellers, and welcome to another exciting episode of Reader's Magnet featured author interview, where we dive deep into the world of creativity and inspiration. And our guest for today is the author of Walla Beach. So please help me welcome Dr. Gary M. Oberick. So, Dr. Gary, how are you doing today?
I'm doing fine. How are you doing?
Oh, well, I'm doing good. Thank you much for asking. And by the way, Doctor, welcome to the Hive. And I'm really excited to share with our viewers on your book, Walla Beach, which is your latest creation. And just wanted to ask you, so to all of our viewers as well, who are not aware, so can you please give us a quick introduction of who you are and what is this book all about?
Well, this book is a story about three teenagers, motorcycle enthusiasts, who decide to go to their favorite resort
Mm,
on um, the first holiday weekend of May 1971.
mm.
This takes place in Canada.
Oh,
And
okay.
so the boys, they skip school and drive their choppers up to Walla Beach and get there around 4:30. And luckily, they
Mm.
managed to obtain a cottage.
Oh,
Rather than sleeping on the beach, they get to sleep in beds. So,
mm.
and I remember it cost $30 for the whole weekend.
Wow. And that's a good price to pay for a weekend though, for a weekend vacation. Really love that.
Really good price. That's 1971 prices.
Oh, 9071. And if I was thinking about today's standards, though, $30 for a weekend, and I would die just to get a $30 weekend here. But again, but going back, but doctor, going back with you're talking about your latest book, right? Talking about three teenagers, it's more of a coming of age story. So, what was the initial spark or idea that led to its creation?
Well, it's an autobiographical sketch. This
Oh,
happened to me. I'm the primary actor in the book, Zeke.
oh, love that. And when it comes with the character Zeke, so I do believe that this is the character that you resonate with the most. And is there any? So would you say that this book is more of a mix of fiction and nonfiction? Then, am I correct?
Yes, I call it literary fiction.
Oh, literary fiction. I love that. And again, going back with Zeke though, and these two other teenagers, I think these were are the friends that you had during this time.
Right, Tramp and Bear.
Oh, love
And
the name of the characters though. And yeah, going back with it, Triumph, Bear, and Zeke. Wow, I really love that. And but going back with the characters that you have here, Dr. Gary, I do believe that you resonate with more is Zeke. So is there anything in because again, this is literary fiction. It's more. It has a mix of you as well, your personality. So why do you think that you resonate more with Zeke? And is there a reason behind it besides being you as that person in that story?
well, um, I I happened to rent this. We rented this cottage,
Hmm.
and but an hour after we got there, these roughnecks,
Oh.
9 guys on bobbers. Now, a bobber is a beat up motorcycle, one that
Hmm.
it's not customized. So they try to steal the cottage from us.
Oh, okay.
Now these were adult males, 25 to 30, and they decided that they could push us teenagers right out of the cottage and steal it from us. Now,
Hmm.
while we were arguing about all of this, uh, an older gentleman came from the cottage next door, and he came out. He was dressed in black Levi jeans, and he had a leather vest on. And as soon as he showed up, they knew exactly who he was.
Hmm.
We didn't. We thought he was just a scrawny old man,
Okay.
just going to complain. But
Hmm.
it turns out he was the president of Canada's most notorious outlaw motorcycle club, the Sinners.
Okay. Wow.
And he stood up for us. He said, you know, what are you hassling my friends for? Get out of here. Beat it. And luckily for us, these roughnecks left. And the story then is the interplay between Bernie, the president of the Sinners,
Hmm.
and me and my two friends, Bear and Tramp.
Hmm.
And that's a major theme in the book, the interplay between the two entities.
Huh.
And
And
through that uh, interplay,
mhm.
through that interplay, it, the boys grew up into men.
So so it's coming back with I really love the story with that, and again coming back with again it's a literary fiction though, coming of age, talking about being a child, having these experiences and bringing them on as the a grown adult. And when you were describing what was the name of the president, that was Barry, am I
Bernie,
Bernie, yeah, Bernie. When you were describing Bernie, like leather jacket, leather pants, the first thing that came into my mind is like a biker gang leader, like Hell's Angels, those kinds of biker gangs. Like that was the first thing that came into my mind, and I really love how he was being pictured in the book. And it's more of like, instead of they were just you guys were thinking he was just a scrawny old man, but eventually he was something that was so huge within Canada's biker gang. And talking more about this book, talking about the characters here as well. Beside, if you just want to ask you, does your background or personal experience influence these stories that you create, or was there anyone else's experiences that you borrowed from as well?
well, for example,
Sure.
before I became a professor,
Mm-hmm.
I was a professional musician
Oh.
for, for 14 years. And I was in a number of good bands, and we made CDs and videos and did national tours. And a lot of those experiences got placed into a book I wrote when I was doing my master's degree,
Hmm.
a book called Getting Tall. So, yes, sometimes my personal experiences find their way into my writing.
Hmm.
And a second example would be a book I wrote called Age 5 Inside the Mind of a Trauma Victim.
Hmm.
It's a sociological study of a 5-year old boy who witnesses the suicide and murder suicide of his parents.
Hmm. And
And
okay.
my interviewing of him, see, back then, when he was 5 years old, I was 5 years old. We were friends. We used to
Oh.
ride our bicycles together and steal candy and do all kinds of things. But when that happened, he was taken away to a boarding school.
Hmm. Wow. And yeah, I kind of find it in talking about these books, because these books are, again, they find their way into your writing. These personal experiences you have, these influences and the stories that you create as well are being into, blended in. So if I'll be asking you here, Doctor, are you a meticulous planner, or do you prefer to let the story evolve as you continue writing it?
I would have to say that the story is in my head
Mm-hmm.
before it goes onto paper. So, like for instance, Walla Beach started out as a
Sure.
six pages or 7 pages, and then when I reviewed it, next thing I know, I'm at 40 pages.
Hmm.
Then at 40 pages, I thought, well, this is a nice essay, but if I want to make it a book, I'm going to have to really add detail to all of the activity that takes place in the book.
Hmm.
So by adding the detail, I ended up with, I think it's 240 pages.
Oh. Well, okay. Talking about from 6 pages turning to 40, and then turning to 200 plus pages for the book as well. Again, talking about is so. it's more of having the story in your head ahead of time, and then trying to evolve and adding more stories, getting into more detail, giving into more descriptions. And but if I'll be asking you, doctor, just from the top of my head, this is just a question I want to ask. Was is there any when you talk about your writing process, what do you think is the greatest challenge that you always encounter during your own writing process?
Getting tired. That's about the
Getting
thing. I have the ideas in my head and I'm working away, and then it gets to the point where I'm starting to see double,
oh.
and then it's time to quit. But my brain, I can't shut my brain off. It stays on, and I have to take a rest, take a break. But that's about the only challenge. Otherwise, it's pretty free flowing.
Hmm.
The information is pretty free flowing.
I really love that idea. And again, going back with the idea. And again, I do understand where you're coming from. Again, writing a book is not that easy. It's not something that, hey, I want to write a book. I can write 200 pages within a day and I'm good. When you get tired, again, you being an author is it takes a lot of your time creating these stories, thinking about the stories, and especially you, doctor, having a brilliant mind as well, having these ideas and having these books because you've published a number of books already, and you have Walla Beach, which is your latest creation, having these things in your mind, which again, it's always on the ideas. It's a free flow of the story, making sure that these story connect from the beginning up until the end is something that not a lot of authors have a feat for. And again, when you quit, because you need to you take a break, but you'll never quit writing it and continue to write it eventually in a couple of days. And that's one thing that a lot of people can learn from you. But doctor, just one more thing before we wrap this interview up. I just have one question, especially to aspiring authors or aspiring writers who might think that they are just hesitant in publishing their book. What advice would you like to give them, especially if they want to grab a copy of your book? How do you want to influence them when it comes with your books, your stories, your background, your life as well?
Well, the best advice I could give them is don't give up. Keep trying. Keep going for it, because you're going to run into roadblocks, but there's always a way around them. You have to work hard and allow your mind to be creative, and just keep going for it.
I agree. I agree. And again, it's how to say this. Life's journey is a never ending. It's a never ending journey. Always move forward. You might get tired. You might feel drained, but always remember, and taking the words from you, always never ever give up, never back down, never give up. I think that's a one main point for our future authors and writers. And again, and to all of our viewers, if you and book lovers, if you're interested, I would highly suggest try to get Dr. Gary's book, that is Walla Beach. It's available through Amazon, Barnes and Noble, and feel free to also check his other books to collection and add it to your future books to read list. And you know what, Dr. Gary, I want to say this though as we end today's conversation. I just want to take a moment and say thank you very much for sharing your thoughts, your insights, and your writing process on how everything has been started with your book, and also sharing us some stories that we can also read in the future. Thank you very much for that, Dr. Gary.
It's been my pleasure. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for having me.
Okay. And you know what? Sorry. And again, to all of our viewers, again, thank you very much for tuning in. And once again, Dr. Gary Obrick's book, again, Walla Beach, feel free to grab it, available online through Amazon, Barnes and Noble. And again, always remember at the end of this day, okay, every ending is just a new beginning in the world of stories. May your reading adventures be endless and your imagination boundless. And as we say here at Reader's Magnet, we share your stories with the world. Thank you and have a good one. Bye bye.